Stoli Vodka is one of the world's most awarded premium vodkas. With a commitment to uncompromising quality since 1938, Stoli controls every aspect of its vodka making, from planting, harvesting the finest ingredients, to distilling and bottling. This process has been followed for decades to guarantee the consistency and quality and signature ultra-smooth taste in each iconic bottle produced. Isn't it time you picked up Stoli Vodka for a try? For those who know their vodka well, and themselves even better, Stoli, the vodka. Check out Stoli as the official vodka in Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. Enjoy responsibly. 40% alcohol by volume. Imported by Stoli Group USA, LLC, New York, New York.
Attention shoppers, clean up on aisle 14. Clean up on aisle 14. Someone dropped a jar of pickles. Pickles. Kosher pickles.
Beatboxing at a big box store. Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
A red minivan has the lights on in the parking lot.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Geico.
Skolik and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. A lot of Van Perry on the
We got to explain this all the time. Why are we playing Van Perry?
That's because I toured with the Van Perry for many years, and I still think I could play that song today. Like, I haven't played it in a year and a half, but I think I could.
Jason Fitz, he's a fiddle player, was a fiddle player for the Van Perry, but classically trained with the violin at Juilliard when you were 10 years old. You've been practicing 8 hours a day with the violin since you were eight.
Yeah, by the time I was 8.
It's unbelievable. So classically trained, you end up in Van Perry or the fiddle player there. And I had asked you earlier, and you're going to bring it in and you're going to do this. I asked, because the guitar player, it's Stairway to Heaven, right?
Sure.
So much so that, why does it keep leaving my head the
Wayne's World?
Wayne's World, where they have the sign up, no playing, Stairway to Heaven in the music store, that for a fiddle player, it has to be Devil Went Down to Georgia.
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah, I think I'm also going to play y'all's theme. I mean, I don't know, Friday I might just sit with my feet up and not do a lot of work.
That would be cool, because you play Devil Went Down to Georgia. Me and Michael sing, because we love singing. We love karaoke. We'll be the vocal part of it, while you be the instrument part of it.
I have suggested to the company that we do an ESPN Radio karaoke contest for a charity fundraiser.
That would be awesome. I'd be all in on that.
I think this should happen. So,
now, obviously, I have to get hammered first. That's not a problem, right?
Right. No.
Okay.
Right. We'll find a sponsor that helps with that. It'll be perfect. It'll be perfect. This hour of Golic Window brought to you by La Quinta Inns and Suites. Book at LQ.com and win at business. Let's get to a little bit of what's going on in the world. What's trending? One of the biggest plays in Philadelphia sports history, now dubbed the Philly Special, was dialed up by quarterback Nick Foles.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Remember, it's called Philly Special, and you hear Doug Peterson on the sideline saying, we're going for it on the play. And Foles comes over and says, let's run, Philly Special, run that. And there's that silence for a minute, and Doug's like, okay, yeah, let's do it, and it's the Philly mode, like dilly, it's Philly. And Peterson did. He said, let's run the play. He said, saying Philly. Peterson stared back at him before finally saying, yeah, let's do it. So it was Nick Foles who had that idea. And that's the classic 2-point play or play in this situation right by the goal line, that is, you never see. And you can only basically do once in a very, very long time before you try it again, because then people obviously pick up on it. And I know people always say, well, how are you supposed to defend that? No one's ever supposed to cover the quarterback. Well, you can't think of the quarterback as a quarterback. You think of quarterback as first man out, and you have on the defensive side of the ball, you have rules and responsibilities for first man out. Because if Foles was actually a quarterback and there was a running back standing there, you'd certainly have a rule for covering him if he came out of the backfield. But it's the quarterback. So you never think of the quarterback being a weapon like that. So you kind of forget about him, even though you know your rule says if he comes out of the backfield, he's supposed to be covered. It worked great. We saw it work with Baker Mayfield in Oklahoma in the semifinal game of the playoffs this year. They ran the same play, and he caught a touchdown pass. So called and run to perfection. Trey Burton throwing the ball, the backup tight end. But Nick Foles called that play, said, Doug Peterson, let's run this play.
The guts it takes as a coach and the trust in your player when your backup quarterback says, hey, I got the perfect play, the one where you throw to me, and you're like, Yeah, man,
Yeah?
let's do that.
How about it?
That is a level of just guts.
Well,
I'm
guts
using
all the
that,
way
yeah.
around. You're your backup quarterback who suggests the play. Your quarterback is going out for a pass, and a guy who normally doesn't throw the ball is throwing the ball in a crucial fourth down situation in the Super Bowl. I mean, and it worked to perfection.
And I know the play was different, but it's not that far removed from seeing them attempt to throw a football to Tom Brady, and that
Exactly.
didn't work out. So
No, it didn't work out. He was open. The play was there. Tom was wide open. So again, you just don't. While you have a rule for it, you just don't think the quarterback is rarely, if ever, going to go out.
I continue to try and put myself in the mind of Doug Peterson right there. When you've seen the play not work on the other side, a variation of it, your backup quarterback's asking to be thrown the football, and the confidence in your team that it takes. It's one of the reasons I think that Doug Peterson continued to surprise me throughout the entire playoff run. He just outcoached. He was one step ahead of everybody.
Agree. And if they could give the MVP to a coach, maybe he would have got it for that game instead of Nick Foles because of the aggressive. And as we'd said leading up to that game, if you get the lead, you have to stay aggressive. They got the lead. They gave up the lead, 33-32 at one point, but then obviously they got it back and held on by staying aggressive.
A little bit of baseball news. The San Francisco Giants officially announced yesterday that they will retire Barry Bonds, number 25, and celebrate his career before their August 11th game against the Pirates at AT&T Park. Mike, I love this.
I do too. First 20,000 fans in attendance are going to get a number 25 ball cap in honor of Bonds. I think it's fantastic. I think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think Clemens should be in the Hall of Fame. I've been saying that for years. So certainly, doing what they're going to do and celebrate him at the park makes perfect sense to me. Are you in that camp too, that the guy should be in the Hall of Fame?
100%, because I think that entire era is defined by players that we can't decide who was or was not a part of, and so that makes it difficult to just decide we're going to include or not include certain people arbitrarily. And ultimately, through all of it, baseball can't just erase a generation, and that's what they would have to do to actually clean up the Hall of Fame. They'd have to erase an entire generation. That's impossible to do. At this point, I think all you can do is let bygones be bygones, hug it out, and move forward.
And I do like that the game is, as Brett just pointed out, against the Pirates, where he started his career. So very, very cool thing, and I am glad they're doing it. And we'll see. He and Clemens have four more chances with the writers to be voted into the Hall of Fame. They've gone up a tick each year, but they're still in the upper 50 percentile. They need to get to 75% to get in the Hall of Fame, so time will tell.
From former players to current Major League Baseball players, the New York Yankees will open the gates 3 hours before spring training home games, allowing fans to watch Aaron Judge and new teammate Giancarlo Stanton take their thwacks. I just like that word. During batting practice.
That's a word that should be in the old Bruce Wayne, and the Batman movies.
Pow and wham.
And thwack would come up there. What's not to love about it? By the way, doesn't it in a week, aren't there some pitchers and catchers reporting in a week? A week. Allegedly, yeah. February 14th, pitchers and catchers. That is just amazing. But this is a no-brainer. You have two towering guys that look like football players more than baseball players, are incredible athletes, knock the hell out of the ball, and you're going to give your fans. And again, in spring training, that's the time you can get a little closer to the players. It's way more relaxed. You can have more interaction. But just to be out there and have that many opportunities to catch yourself a home run ball, even obviously in batting practice, but that's a very, very cool thing.
It's also, I think, a little bit of a sneak peek into how Major League Baseball is going to handle something this year, because the Yankees are incredibly marketable to everybody with these two big hitters together. This is that moment that can sort of transcend baseball guy and get into every man wants to see this.
Right.
So the more that they're marketing this right now at spring training,
Agreed.
The more it makes me think, man, they've got their head in the right spot. That's what's trending. A former NBA assistant GM in 30 seconds. But first, Mike,
let's talk a little Hallmark, shall we? It's almost Valentine's Day, and that means you need to go out and buy your lady a card, but don't go out and buy her just any card. Pick up a truly special card from Hallmark Signature. Seriously, if you're looking for the best, because she's the best, and you know she's the best if she's with you, right? These are the kind of cards that make an impression, as in she'll be impressed, feel loved, which is a win-win for all of you. You can find the perfect Hallmark Signature Valentine's Day card today wherever Hallmark cards are sold.
all right. Bobby Marks, ESPN NBA front office insider, joins us in studio, giving the Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Bobby, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. How are you? Good morning.
He's hanging out with me. He's having a great morning.
Is it going to get crazy here? I mean, we have till tomorrow. I mean, we'll get to some of the odd stuff going on, obviously, in Cleveland, but do we on the horizon here? Are there any? Let's start with this. Are there any landscape changing trades on the horizon?
I don't see it. Last year we had 14 trades going into the deadline, or at the deadline we have 3, and that includes Tyler Zeller. So I think you probably
this time last year we had 14.
We had 14 trades. That included the deadline and the day leading up to the deadline. Right now we're at 3, including if you include the 2 from last year. And the consensus is, in talking to teams yesterday, is that they will make trades, but they will not take money back to do some of these deals, and that's what's setting up for this upcoming summer. Brian Windhorst and I wrote about how the money has basically dried up from the summer of 2016. Even a team like Cleveland, we've talked about them at length. I mean, they're not willing to take back bad contracts, and they can do a deal for Tyreek Evans right now if they wanted to. But it's going to cost them $14 million in luxury tax, and it'll probably cost them their own pick. It won't cost them the Brooklyn pick. No, that Brooklyn pick is basically untradeable. They've got a short list of players, and one of them actually got hurt last night in that Knicks game. So I think we can probably take him off that short list. But there's been a lot of reluctance. I think we'll see some minor trades, but I would be the landscape DeAndre Jordan type trade out there. I don't see it right now.
Is there a trade in your mind that could happen that would make the Cavs competitive with the Warriors today?
No, there isn't.
So let me follow that up then. Should the Cavs even be aggressive if they can't win an NBA title?
They shouldn't. And I hate saying, I don't want to say raise the white flag, but if I am Cleveland and I am Dan Gilbert and Kobe Altman, their GM, I'm not moving the Brooklyn pick because that's insurance B. I think they learned their lesson from 2010 when LeBron left and they were left with bad contracts. And even if he does leave, they're still going to be left with some bad contracts there. Can you go out and do a Kemba Walker deal and a Nick Batum? Probably, but it would cost you the Brooklyn pick. And then you're stuck with the Batum contract for an extra 2 or 3 years at $26 million when LeBron's not here anymore. That's kind of the collateral damage for LeBron not knowing what's going to happen this summer.
So as far as bigger names, we heard it. You just mentioned DeAndre Jordan. We thought once Blake Griffin got dealt, are they just going to tear up? Now we hear about Lou Williams may soon do an extension there. And what about, do we think that's true? And is DeAndre Jordan eventually going to be out of there?
Well, Lou, I know Adrian wrote last night, he is extension eligible. They can sign him for 4 years, $40 million. It's interesting because that's a team that's, I think, 1 game out of the playoffs right now. Their big picture is, of course, down the road. They're not, if they can get in the playoffs this year, great. They are not a free agent player this summer, so if you do bring back Lou, it will not hurt you from a cap perspective. They will not do a deal for DeAndre Jordan where you're just getting back a late pick in the 20s, and if you have to take back money down the road, they're more content as far as letting that money come off the books this summer. Who's to say he might not even opt out? He's supposed to make $24 million. This free agent summer, I'm telling you, I got so many calls on Monday from teams and agents, more of as a thank you, because nobody's willing to write about this right now, that this summer is going to be historically bad for some of these free agents. And eventually it will correct itself, but probably not till 2020.
What do you mean historically bad? Kind of explain that.
Well, you'll have 5 to 6 teams with cap space to go out and sign players. You will have 12 teams in the luxury tax. The role players that once got the $10 to $12 million contracts, the Marcus Smarts this summer, the Avery Bradley, even Lou Williams are probably looking at a salary between $6 and $7 million, which is basically half of what the summer of 2016 players got.
ESPN NBA front office insider Bobby Marks joining us. And Bobby, you mentioned the summer and activity. What do you expect from the Lakers at this point this summer?
Well, they're pivoting a little bit. I think when you have cap space, it's great, but you don't have. If you're going to go out and sign Tier B free agents, that's not the right way to go. They'll have room. They've got $36 million, even if they don't do anything. If you just let Brook Lopez and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Corey Brewer go, they will have the room. And if LeBron James does become available, the issue with James is he wants to have somebody come with him. And if it's not Paul George or DeMarcus Cousins, There's no other big free agent out there for him to come. So they're taking more of a conservative approach. They've got an eye on 2019. Klay Thompson, Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler. I know it's 2 years from now and Laker fans don't want to hear that, but I've been parts of teams that use cap space on role players, and it comes back and bites you.
What did the Porzingis injury do to the Knicks in their timetable of everything?
It's devastating from on the court, from the finances. Extension eligible this summer, in line. Basically, going into last night, he had a blank check for 5 years, $157 million. I don't want to say that's off the table right now, but if I'm New York with a first year salary at $27 million, I am taking a cautious approach to him. I am almost looking at what Philadelphia did with Joel Embiid, where they put a lot of protection in there based on Embiid's foot and back. For Porzingis is certainly for his knee, but he'll be out for a year. It could certainly save them some money next year.
Do you expect the Knicks to sort of dump some salary at this point?
I think the two players to watch, Courtney Lee and Kyle Quinn. Those are the two players, but they're in that same boat where they don't want to take back money. They're looking to dump, and if you can get, you're not going to get first round picks for either players, but if you can kind of, I guess, trim around the edges a little bit.
Do you think, maybe not this trade deadline, but Boogie Cousins was a guy that was going to be dealt at some point, and now, with an Achilles and a bit for on a big man, that's a tough one to come back from. What's his future, do you think?
Well, another player, he was in line 5 years, 175.
Oh,
that's the number for Boogie Cousins, and they were going to give him that. There was two mandates in New Orleans: stay under the luxury tax and make the playoffs. And they were on line to do that. Now they're kind of just sitting in 8. They have to take a cautious approach. I mean, coming back from an Achilles for a big, the track record is not good right now. I don't think he would have been dealt at the deadline just because they had been playing so well at the time.
I want to ask you a little bit about the Celtics, specifically the same way we just approached this with the Cavs. Is there somebody out there you think the Celtics can get that will make them competitive with the Golden State?
Well, I think it would almost be addition by subtraction. I think if you're going to go out and get a Tyreek Evans, that's the name that we hear about. That might be the biggest name that actually gets moved at the deadline. It will probably cost you Marcus Smart. So you bring in Evans, Smart goes. Another player that's going to be stuck in that free agent crunch this summer. He's restricted. They're holding off on signing Greg Monroe right now because they want to preserve that extra roster spot. But Monroe will be signed right after the deadline. But Evans is the guy because if you watch them last night, their struggle is scoring, especially coming off the bench and relying on some of these younger players.
So, all right, this is the fun part now where we just get to speculate because we can, or at least I can. I've been one of those, maybe born and raised in Cleveland, hanging on to the fact that I think LeBron wants to win championships. You have to be in the championship to win them. His best chance would be to stay in Cleveland. That is just a mess going on right there. So while I'm white-knuckling it, hanging on to it, it does seem like he would end up somewhere else. In your mind, where does LeBron James end up?
Philadelphia.
Really?
That's the best spot for him. I would say if I don't understand the speculation of going out west when you've got to bang your head against Golden State, could he wind up in Houston? Possibly, but he would have to go basically the Chris Paul route, opt into his contract, go to management, tell them he wants to be traded. But I don't see anybody on that Rocket roster that Cleveland would actually want. I don't know if you want Ryan Anderson or Eric Gordon, those type of players. Philly has the cap space. They do not have to gut their roster. He can go there with Ben Simmons. They'll have maybe that Laker pick this year, which will be a lottery pick. Embiid, Saric, you don't have to do anything. He can just slide right in there.
Wow.
If he goes to Philadelphia and he doesn't end up in L.A., and then you look at it, you said earlier the Lakers, they need to get a couple of guys. If they don't land LeBron, will we look back at last year's decision not to trade for Paul George, which some thought was an opportunity, and say, hey, maybe Magic Johnson hasn't handled this entire process the right way?
Well, I think Magic Johnson is learning that free agency is like the unknown. I mean, you go into the wilderness and you don't know what you're going to get, but it's the easier route is the trade market because you know you're going to have that player for either a year or for, in this case, probably Paul George for 3 or 4 years. But it comes at a cost. So if you're the Lakers, you're trying to hedge. How do I keep my young players, have the cap space, and go out and get both of these players? But as you've seen in the last couple of days, there's no guarantee you're going to get these guys.
All right, so I got to ask this. Hopefully you know this, and I don't have to go to the league for this or not. Why in God's green earth was Magic Johnson fined $50,000 for complimenting the play of Antetokounmpo. He didn't mention him playing with the Lakers. He didn't mention maybe him being on the team. He said he's going to be an MVP. He's going to lead Milwaukee to the promised land. All nice stuff, and he gets fined $50K. What's the deal?
I think there's a target on the Lakers right now from this summer. I didn't understand that either. I think there is a difference between what happened with Paul George this summer. That is, and they got fined $500,000.
Yeah.
I think the $50,000, and the best part is that Milwaukee, their website, I guess, tweeted it out or had it, and I think even on the NBA site, that was the headline there. And Giannis is under contract for another 4 years.
Yeah.
If he was a free agent this summer, okay. But I didn't get that. I understand the rule, but I think there's certainly times when you can kind of look past that.
I think we have to make it our job to help Magic get out of that $50,000. That could hurt, He may not be able to find that all on the sofa. Okay.
Well, you know what's going to happen? Your coffee at Starbucks is going to go up.
Oh, there you go, huh?
We cannot stand for that.
Can't have that.
This is injustice. Bobby Marks, ESPN NBA front office insider. Bobby's the co-host of NBA Insiders on ESPN Radio from 8 p to 12 midnight Eastern on Sundays. Also going to be part of the trade deadline special on The Jump tomorrow, 1:30 to 4:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN. Bobby, thanks for the time.
That was good stuff. Thanks. Hey everyone, Mike Golick here. Support for the Golick Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Josh McDaniels lied. Said he was going to take the job, but nay, he will not be the next head coach.
Nay?
Yes.
No. No.
Oh, Golick and Wingo on ESPN Radio, ESPN2. Presented by Progressive Insurance. I'm Jason Fitz in for Trey. Mike, look, this was stunning when it happened. And I think one of the reasons we're all latching onto it is think about the NBA right now. Like the NBA is great partially because of the petty wars that exist between everybody. Right. Everybody's talking smack to everybody, and there's a dirty little secret behind every door. Mm-hmm. This feels like that moment as Josh McDaniels. There's already sort of a perceived history between the Colts and the Patriots, and now you have this little moment where the offensive coordinator decides not to take the promotion, not to take the pay raise, not to take the big opportunity. How often do we hear there's only 32 open coaching jobs? Well, McDaniels just said, I don't want that one. I'd rather stay in my sort of secondary role in New England. This fuels petty wars in the NFL.
It does, but this is the one tangent I'm not going on. I don't know if you are, that this move was crafted by Kraft.
I see what he did.
You see what I did there? To stick it to the Colts, because there was the one that blew the whistle that ended up being Deflategate, that crafted this is his way of getting back. That I don't buy. That I do not buy that this went that far, that it was like, yeah, take the job. Oh, right before the press conference, we're going to pull it back on him, and that's going to be our revenge on the Colts. I don't buy that.
I don't buy that for a minute, but I love the fact that the drama is so high on this that can even be a theory. Now, I do buy, if you buy into some of the reports that McDaniels was going to take the Patriots special teams coordinator with him, that would mean all three coordinators gone from the Patriots in one offseason. I do buy that Bob Kraft looks around and says, you know what? I need to make sure that we don't have that much changeover when there's already at least a sense that the Patriot way may have a crack in the armor for the first time. So I do buy maybe he goes in and sweetens the pie just to say, hey, I want to keep you here so that we don't have that much changeover.
From the Colts side, really quick, remember we had Bill Polian in here, and he obviously still knows people in that organization, and said they're going to be just fine. Well, their GM, Chris Ballard, is going to hold a press conference an hour after this show ends. We end at 10 Eastern, 11 o'clock Eastern. Ballard will hold a presser, maybe to explain what went on, maybe to announce who the new head coach will be, because as Bill said, you have a list. Now, I don't know how close the Colts got to throwing away that list, because they thought they were having a press conference that was going to introduce Josh McDaniels. So we'll see from that in about an hour and a half. The Colts will have that presser. Their GM will hold it, and we'll see what's going on there. But from that New England side, it could be a number of reasons, from security there with family. He's was in Denver, was in St. Louis. He's been in New England since 2012. Wife, 4 kids. We talk time and time again about, man, if you're a coach, you go to any coach's bio and see the number of places they've gone. You understand the life you're in. And maybe it was like, you know what? We have a good here. We're going to stay here. You get the pot sweetened a little bit financially. Maybe you're told, hey, whenever Bill steps down, you're going to be the guy. And Bill Polian even said he's done that twice in his career, and it's worked both times. So is that part of it as well?
Golic and Wingo, presented by Dollar Shave Club, brought to you by Dollar Shave Club. Upgrade to shaving with the fresh blade whenever you want for a fraction of the price. Join dollarshaveclub.com today. And so a little bit of a shocking revelation to both of us earlier as Bill let us know that if you've named a coach in waiting, you are actually exempt from the Rooney Rule.
Exactly.
That was a bit of a shock for us. But through all of that, the Colts at this point can try and put a tuxedo all over this pig.
Yeah.
And I'm still not buying that it's my prom date. Like, this is still a pig we're looking at. Everybody else that they interviewed in the process of looking for their head coach has taken a job somewhere else.
Oh, yeah.
There's nobody else that they already put some time and effort into. So they can have a list all day long. But they don't have the time right now to go through and do 27 interviews with 5 different guys and try and figure this process out. They're under the gun. The combine's a few weeks away.
Right.
And they're behind the 8 ball, not just in the head coach, but as you well know, who that coach brings on as a staff is a huge part of the success of a coach. I'm looking at it saying, what assistants, other than the couple that they've already put under contract, are they even going to have to pick from? You're picking from a reduced pool all the way down.
Well, now you'll wonder if the staff that was currently with the Colts, if some of those guys will be retained. My biggest wonder is who they hire. Is this a 5-year deal guy, or is this a let's get everything squared for a year and then we'll start and try and do this again? That I don't know. Is it going to be an assistant coach whose name maybe wasn't out there as much that gets a shot at a first head coaching job? Or will it be a veteran, a guy who was a head coach just brought in to kind of calm the waters for a year until they get reestablished again? I don't know. And was this decision by Josh McDaniels, does it have anything to do with the most important person in that organization, Andrew Luck? Did he not feel comfortable in news he heard about Andrew Luck? We've heard everything from he may need another operation to he's going to be fine and play all 16 games and everything in between. So at this point, we don't know. And it's awfully silent about that.
I just want in my America for heads to explode by Jeff Fisher just being named a coach. That's the perfect solution here. Our front office insider, Louis Riddick, said McDaniels left the Colts in a bad place. This is what he had to say about it.
Wow. Well, first of all, you kind of catch your breath, and you probably feel your rib cage and your stomach after that gut punch you just took. Josh had already started hiring assistants, according to reports, who were already starting to work. But now you have guys who now are planning on working in a system with Josh McDaniels who now aren't going to work in that system. And whoever the Plan B and Plan C and Plan D coaches are, now they come in and are saddled with coaches who maybe they don't know either. Quite honestly, this is a mess. This is not something, I don't care what kind of statement they release, is not something you plan for. I mean, this really sets you back. This is something that you just don't want to be dealing with.
And the one thing I'll say is we've certainly seen GMs come on and have a head coach that they already have to deal with, and you try and work through that. It's not the best relationship, and whatever head coach they hire here will have to deal with the 2 coaches that thought Josh was going to be the head coach, and they signed to contracts, which the Colts said they will honor. But I would imagine when Chris Ballard, the GM, gets in front of that microphone in about an hour and a half, that he's going to make it like all is good, all is calm. It's going to be like that duck, the feet going crazy underwater, but you're going to present yourself as, we're fine. Did we expect this? No, but we're good. You know what? We have our ducks in a row. We have our name. We're going to go in this direction. Wherever it's going to go, they're going to appear to have everything under control, where, to Lewis's point, I have to believe they have to be inside that building going, what the hell just happened to us here?
Well, and I think we can all agree that there are 2 real major things that can instantly set your franchise back years. One is wasting a top draft pick in any way, and 2 is the wrong coaching hire. You hire the wrong guy, and you're not just set back for 1 or 2 years. you're set back for 4 or 5. You got to get the new guy in whenever you fire that person. They've got to get their personnel system. I mean, this is an arduous process. And for me as a Raiders fan, it's why I hate coaching changes, because you just keep the revolving door of stink just constantly coming to you. That's why it makes me nervous. I'm nervous for the Colts now, because even if they go back in and they say, we're going to hire the best guy available, the best guy available today may not be as good as the best guy that was available a month ago. The best guy available today may not get a staff that's good as the best guy was a month ago. So now you've got a roster that we all feel is in a transition spot.
Oh, without Chris Ballard has his work cut out for him with what he was left with.
And on top of that, he's now got to sort of figure out how to build a roster for a coach. He doesn't even, I mean, what are they scouting at the combine?
Right.
So they don't know what the system's going to be, how they're going to run it. This is a multi-year setback for the Colts no matter what happens.
It is, and I don't think there's any doubt they'll have a coach in place before the combine. The combine is still 3 weeks away, a couple of weeks, 2.5, 3 weeks away. So I think they'll have a coach in place. So at least they'll have a direction of where they want to go. But to your point, I'm with you. What is this the coach for the next 5 years? Is this just a stabilizing coach for a year, kind of like a bridge quarterback? Is this a bridge coach? I'm sure they want nothing to do with a bridge coach. They would love to hire a guy and say, this is going to be our leader. We already know it's not the person they wanted, because they were about to have a press conference for the person they wanted. And then on New England side, we're never going to get more. I don't think we're going to get any more on the Malcolm Butler situation, other than Bill Belichick saying just what he said. This is how we thought we were going to win with the players on the field. And I don't think we'll get any more out of the Josh McDaniels, other than Josh is going to say, this is where, if they're thinking about it long and hard, this is where I wanted to be with my family. We're stable here. And that's the reason. As we know, they don't go into a lot of detail in New England, so I don't know how much detail we're going to get until somebody 20 years from now maybe writes a book.
Well, absolutely. Someday we'll get the real scoop on this, and it'll be amazing. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio, ESPN2. All of our phone guests on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Now, we've been listening through our voicemail line, which, by the way, you can call at 860-506-5505. But this one actually, it's up here somewhere. They tell me we have one that really
stood out.
It's
in green in the middle. It said. I mean, see a green in the middle?
There's no green in the middle. They're telling me green in the middle.
No green in the middle.
There's no green in the middle.
Stanzik's not even.
Oh, now there's green in the middle. It just reset. See, there we go. Check this one out.
Hey guys, doing a mobile phone. Question for Golic. First time, long time, by the way. Golic, you can only have one and only one. You can only have one. Because listen, I listened to the show after you, that Levitard and Stugatz guy. I tell you, that Stugatz guy is funny. Seems like a good guy. So I have one, and it seems like you're having a great time, with Jason Fitz this morning. So I have one question for you. One and only one. You can only choose one, Golic. Fitz or Stugatz? Who are you going with? Fitz or Stugatz? Stugatz or Fitz? You can only choose one. I'll hang up and listen.
Fitz.
All right, coming up.
Guys, listen, Fitz is the only one that can play an instrument while I can sing. All right, Stu, I'll ask again. What are you bringing to the table? Okay? What are you bringing?
Can you cook, Stu? I mean, do you have like maybe?
Stu can drink, and he can give hot takes. I do know that.
Well, I mean, I think most of us can do that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I will warn you, though, he probably drinks manually. It's all, cherry vodka and diet soda for me, so it's not.
Cherry vodka,
or cherry
diet
rum, or cherry
soda,
rum, right?
Stugatz. I pick Stugatz.
Oh man!
Wow.
You're welcome. I don't know why I revealed that to America. I feel good about it.
You got a couple more things you're going to reveal to us, I think.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up with some more Try Jason questions, including one of my worst decisions. I'm afraid of that. He's my Golic. I am not Trey Wingo. I'm Jason Fitz.
You're Jason Fitz.
Yeah, that is sitting in for Trey. Trey's out on the beach in Hawaii.
Trey, before he started doing the show, he's obviously worked NFL Live forever. And for football guys, their season kind of ends. Well, I mean, NFL Live runs all year, but the heart of it is during the football season. And after the Super Bowl, they a lot of time take their trips, and Trey is very used to taking his vacation out to Hawaii. So we gave him one last jaunt out there for a while, for an extended stay, since he finished up with NFL Live. So he's out there for a bit. So you'll be filling in. Adnan Virk will be filling in as well. But the one thing with you filling in is we did it when Trey first started the show, get it for our audience, the Mike and Mike audience, now the Golic and Wingo audience, trying to get to know Trey by Try Trey, asking him questions. And we're doing the same thing with you because your background, 10 years old, training the violin at Juilliard and in the band Perry for a number of years as their fiddle player and other instruments as well. So we're asking you questions and getting to know you a little bit, and we have a couple of more.
All right, so we'll go to this one. This is always, and I love the Southern accents on these.
Yeah, by Jerry.
Well done, Jerry. Well done, Jerry.
Which of your tattoos is your favorite, and which one do you regret the most?
So that's one, if you haven't seen Jason, he's tattooed a lot, kind of like my son, but you have more color in your tattoos than Mike. You guys, when I saw you two together doing the college football show, or doing shows together with all your tattoos in full force, you are no doubt the most tatted duo at ESPN.
Which is sort of the only thing we've got going for us.
At least for now anyway.
That's our famous, but I will say this, a lot of people chime in on the tattoos.
Right.
It's a common thing, especially when I'm new on any show, TV or radio. Mm-hmm. And my favorite narrative is when somebody comes in and says, hide your tattoos, they're disrespectful. Number one, I like having my sleeves rolled up. It's comfortable. I've always been that way. Number two, my left arm is actually my wedding invite. So there's a place in Nashville called Hatch Show Prints that does famous concert posters.
Right.
They've done them for decades. They did our wedding invite. So it says the I Thee Wed Tour, which is what we called our wedding. And then
nice.
My wife's name, my name, and our anniversary. So I always wanted, when I played fiddle, I wanted, I Thee Wed to come up my arm, and I wanted anniversary to be there.
Can I just say that's not the one you regret?
I do not regret that.
Okay, good.
I don't regret any of them.
You don't regret any of them.
My right arm is everything I grew up saying I wanted to do in life that I have done. So the things that I'm the most proud of. So playing the Super Bowl, the American Music Awards, Dick Clark, the Grammys, and then it's a skyline of all the places I've lived. So Vegas, Nashville, New York, DC.
So there are tattoos on your arm of all the things you wanted to do.
Right. And in fact, way up here, you can't see it on this one, there's even an ESPNU, because when I landed my first TV show, I was like, man, I worked my butt off to get an ESPNU show. So I have ESPNU up here.
Any chance of getting my face tattooed on your arm?
I don't want to say no to anything on the first day that we're working together, Mike.
Okay.
But I would much rather wash a car. I mean, if you're giving me options here.
Plans for any more tattoos?
Actually, I left part of the upper arm open so that as I accomplish more, hopefully in life,
put it on there.
I can put it on there.
I know Mike has his other arm. He may go down as well. I don't have one. Everyone in my family does. Jake, Sydney, my wife. I have not gotten one. They keep trying to talk me into it, but I have not done it.
But I will say the funny thing, I go, when I was on tour, I would go talk to kids that are musicians about life and everything. And many times I'd keep the tattoos out and tell kids, because people would say, oh my God, your tattoos.
Right.
I didn't get any tattoos until I was well into my 30s. And that's my lesson for kids is like, had I gotten this skyline when I was 18 or 20, it would look totally different. I wanted to accomplish enough life that I was confident about what went on it.
Oh,
so,
there you go. Look at that. You have a life lesson.
Like a teaching point.
Holy
People think
smokes.
that I don't know what I'm talking. Okay.
All right, one more.
And we got one more here.
If you could go back in time to any sporting event, which one would you choose?
Still really amazed at Jerry's accent.
So this is a tough one for me because, I mean, my beloved Oakland Raiders are sort of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
That's your team.
So, yes. Yeah. So, my initial reaction would be the Super Bowl win over the Redskins, just so I could see the Marcus Allen, Dipsy Doo, in person. I was a very little kid then, so I don't have many positive memories of my beloved Raiders. So that would be my first inclination, but I will say only on one VCR or VHS tape of my entire life. Everything, we didn't have like a recorder or anything as a kid, so my stuff's not there. But I do have, growing up in Vegas as a little kid, the national championship win over Duke, 103-73. I had the VCR, like the VHS tape of that UNLV win. So it'd be a toss-up between a Raiders Super Bowl or going back to see Larry Johnson, Stacey Augmon, and the boys just destroy Duke.
That would be good.
Gives me so much.
I would go back in modern times. I would go back to the USA Russia hockey game.
Oh my God, that's a great choice too.
And then as far as way back, not the first Olympic, because I think it was only one event. I would go back to when the Olympics started having multiple events, but like one of the first ones. I would like to go back and watch that.
One of the things up here are the Olympic rings, because I've already been, and so that's sort of
whatever.
Such a humble brag right there.
I'm going to be washing my car in a minute, so.
Tomorrow, NBA insider agent Wojnarowski on the NBA's trade deadline. Eagles center Jason Kelsey on parade day. Jay Billis looking ahead to Duke UNC. We got a stacked show tomorrow.
Yes, we do. And I'm glad we're getting Jason Kelsey before he starts partying on the parade route.
That is a good idea.
Yeah,
we should get everybody pre-party.
Yeah.
Just be safe out there. Thanks for hanging out. And thanks for letting me hang out with you, Mike. I appreciate
can't wait
it.
till you get the tattoo of me.
See
you tomorrow.
We'll talk about that.